Hello, so in this video, I want to talk about how we can work out averages when data is represented in table format. But before I show you how to do that, I want to show you how the data is put into a table first, because I think if you understand how the data is represented in table format, then actually you think it's not that bad. You've got much more of a handle on it. Okay, so let's say I have this data set in front of me, 003445666. Okay, and I want to try and represent this in data format, in table format. So let's say that, I'm going to have one column. I'm going to have one column in my table which just simply has these numbers in. So I'm going to call that column X. And I'm just simply going to have, I've got 0. That's one of the digits I can have. I've got another 0, but I've already represented that in the table. I've also got a 3, so I'm going to put that in. I've got a 4. Well, I've got another 4 here, but I've already put 4 in my table. It says 5, and there's a 6 there, and there's 2 more 6 after that, but I've already put 6 in my table. So the first column is just simply all the different digits or all the different numbers that I can have in my data. The second column, though, looks at how often those numbers come up. Now, there's a special word that we give to how often something happens, and it's called frequency. So frequency just simply means how often something happens, and I'm going to call that F, okay, just for short, frequency. Okay, so in other words, how often did 0 come up? Well, it came up once, twice. So I'm going to put a 2 next to 0 in my table because that represents that 0 came up twice. Okay. So now I'm going to look at 3. Well, how often did 3 come up? Well, 3 only came up once. So I'm going to put a 1 next to 3 in my table. Okay. Now I'm going to look at how often 4 came up. Well, 4 came up twice. 4 came up twice. So I'm going to put a 2 next to the 4 in the table. Now, how often did 5 come up? Well, 5 came up just once. So I'm going to put a 1 next to 5 in my table. And 6, how often did 6 come up? Well, it came up once, twice, 3 times. So I'm going to put a 3 next to the 6 in my table. So what I want to try and do now is I want to try and work out the mean, the median, and the mode of all the data, of the data represented in this table format. So how did I work out the mean, first of all? Well, the mean is worked out by adding all the numbers up, so adding all of these numbers up, and then dividing by the total number which I have. So what I want to try and do is, if it was written out in a list, that would be nice and easy because I just add all these numbers together. But here, written in this table format, I need to first of all do something to unpack the data, but I'm not going to unpack it entirely. So I'm trying to represent the data as something which is closer to this list format, but I don't want to completely unpack the data into this list format. I want to keep it still in a table format. So are you happy then? Let's go back to what this data actually means. So I said that 0 came up 2 times. This is what this first row means. So if 0 came up 2 times, if I were to write that out, I would simply have 0 and 0. Okay, so this is what this literally means. 0 came up twice. So in my list, I had 0, 0. So this is what I had here. Okay, and likewise with 3, 1, with 3 in this column and 1 in this column, that means that 3 came up once. So if I wanted to write it out in list format, I just have a 3, and that corresponds to that 3 there. And then if I look at the next column, 4 came up twice. So if I wrote that out in list column, I would have 4. I'd have 2 4s. Okay. And then if I look at the next column, this means that 5 came up once, so I just simply have 1 5 written in my list. Okay. Then this last column means that I had that 6 came up 3 times, so I had 3 6s. So I'd have 6, 6, 6. Okay. Then what would I do to this data? Well, I would add all the numbers up. Okay. Well, if I'm adding the numbers up, so I can remove these commas now, I'm just adding all these numbers up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to partially add them up. So I'm just going to add up each row. Okay, so 0 plus 0. Well, are you happy? Are you happy then that that is the same as 2 times 0? Okay, it's still going to be 0. It's just 2 zeros being added together, so therefore it's 2 times 0. If we're adding the same number repeatedly, we can use multiplication to shorten or to compress rather than writing out 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0, we can just compress that down by saying how many times we're adding 0. That's what multiplication means. Okay, this just means, well, I've just got 1 3 here, so this just simply means 1 lot of 3. Okay, Then I've got 4 being added together twice. So all this simply means I can condense that down into 4 times 2. Okay, it means that I'm adding 4 twice. Okay, or 2 times. 5, I've only got 1 5. So it's just 5 times 1. Okay, and then 6, well, I'm adding 6 3 times. So the shorthand way of writing that is 6 times 3. So let's have a look. So this is 0, this is 3, this is 8, this is 5, and this is 18. Okay, so I'm adding all, but what do you notice? Well, look at this red sum here. So look at this red sum here. 2 times 0, there's a 2 there, and there's a 0 there. 3 times 1, there's a 1 there, and there's a 3 there. 4 times 2, 4 there, 2 there. 5 times 1, 5 there, 1 there. You get the pattern? 6 times 3, there's a 6 there and a 3 there. So are you happy then, just to get this column here, all I have to do is just multiply this column and this column together. So in other words, I just have to do f times x, or I can just simply write that as fx. Okay, so this is how I get this last column here. Okay, and that will basically, all I just need to do now is just add all these numbers together, and then that will give me the total number which I had. So if I add these numbers together, well, 0 plus 3 is 0, plus 8 is 11, plus 5 is 16, plus 8 is 34. That comes to 34. How many numbers did I have in total? Well, the total numbers which I had, you're happy that frequency represents how often a number comes up. So if I just add all my frequencies together, then I'm going to end up with the total number which I had. You know, I have 2, 1, 2, 1, 3, so that comes to 9. Okay, then all I do is 34 divided by 9, which comes out as a little over 3, about 3.6, something like that. Okay. Now, the good thing about data for the representation of data in a table format is that I can really easily work out the mode. I can just literally read it off. I just look down my frequency column, and I look for the number which comes, the highest number in my frequency column. That represents the number which comes up most often. So in this case, it's 3. Okay, and then I just read which number came up. So I can tell you immediately that the mode comes out as 6. Okay, I just literally have to look at the frequency column. So data represented in a table format is so easy to find the mode. Okay. Now, the last type of average that we have to find is the median. Well, written in a list format, okay, the median, remember, is n plus 1 over 2. Okay, so n plus 1 over 2, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 9. I've got 9 pieces of data there, data set with 9 data's in there. So what I have to do is add 1 to it, so that comes up to 10. Divide it by 2, that comes out as 5. So I'm looking for the 5th position. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is where my median lies. But how do I do that in data format? Well, data in table format. Well, data in table format is a little bit more tricky to find the median, because what I have to do is use something called cumulative frequency. If something accumulates, are you happy it just comes together, or you put it together? So cumulative frequency just means that I'm putting the frequencies together. So in other words, I'm adding them as I go along. So 2, okay? Then I get 2 plus 1, so I'm actually at my 3rd value there. Then 3 plus 2, so I'm actually at my 5th value there. Then 5 plus 1, so I'm actually at my 6th value there. And 6 plus 3 is 9. Okay, so I'm actually at my 9th value there. Okay, because 2 represents the first 2 elements. 3, I'm looking at the 3rd element in my list. 5, I'm looking up to the 5th element in my list. 6, I'm looking up to the 6th element in my list, and 9th, I'm looking up to the 9th element in my list. So that's all that cumulative frequency is basically doing. Okay, and remember how to find the median. So I add 1 to my data, so that's 9. The total number which I have. So that comes out as 9 plus 1, which is 10. Divide by 2. So that comes out as 5. So I'm looking for where the 5th value lies. Well, hopefully you can see that the 5th value lies there. So basically, it might help to write an extra column on the end, which is cumulative frequency. Okay, and although you can just write it in the frequency column, to be perfectly honest with you. Okay, you do n plus 1 over 2. So in this case, my number of steps is 9. So 9 plus 1 over 2, that comes out as 10 over 2. So I'm looking for the 5th position, and it looks to see where my 5th position lies. So therefore, my median comes out as 4. Okay, and remember my mode, my mean. So my mean comes out as, it was 34 over 9, which came out as 3 point something. Okay,